Colorado versus James Egan Holmes, case number 12CR 1522. The record should reflect that Mr. Holmes is present with his attorneys and the prosecutors are present as well. We are outside the presence of the jury. Ms. Spengler, did you want to raise an issue with the court?
Your Honor,
Yes.
Your Honor, why would we need to, why can't we just do it from here?
Yeah, is there something that has to be confidential? Is there something about this that should be confidential?
Your Honor, my position is yes, in the event that the court agrees and sustains the objection and does not allow a portion of this exhibit into evidence, then I think that this should be made at the bench.
Okay, based on that record, that's not enough for me to take it at the bench. So make your objection. If I feel like it's something we should be talking about at the bench, I'll have you come up here. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I'm bringing up Prosecution Exhibit 306, which is an anticipated exhibit for this afternoon. It is a video of the bomb robot that explored Mr. Holmes's car. Within the first 20 seconds of the video, there is an image of a bloody backboard, and the image is what we are objecting to. I'd ask that that be redacted under 403, 401, and due process of the United States and Colorado Constitutions.
Ms. Pearson.
Your Honor, the fact that there's blood on something isn't exactly a surprise, given it was a shooting of a whole lot of people. That there's already been testimony about this backboard, that it was kind of in the way of the robot. Garrett Gumbiner discussed it, and you see it initially before it's put underneath the car. There's nothing prejudicial about it. It's simply an item that was there that had to be moved out of the way ultimately, but it's simply present next to the car. It's just an object. And it's not saturated in blood. It's not puddled with blood. There's blood on it, which again isn't surprising given the number of people that had exited the rear of the theater and the fact that there's blood on the sidewalk and there's blood in lots of places. So I don't really understand the objection of how this is somehow more unduly prejudicial than everything else.
Was there a request to redact this before today?
No, there wasn't. And this is a video that we provided to the defense and to the court previously when we litigated all of the photographs and videos in this case.
Can I see the exhibit? Do you mind if I take a look at it, Ms. Spengler?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Let me step down and look at that, those 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Thank you. The court will be in recess for just a moment.
All right.
Back on the record, this is the people of the state of Colorado versus James Egan Holmes, case number 12CR 1522. The record should reflect that Mr. Holmes is present with his attorneys and the prosecutors are present as well. I just took a few minutes to watch the beginning of P-TR-306. The scene that Ms. Spengler is complaining about is about 5 seconds long. It shows it for a very brief period of time. There's nothing about that board that is particularly gruesome or graphic. It does have some blood on it, but the jury has heard that some of the injured people were carried out in that board, and I don't see it as irrelevant. It's part of the video that the robot took, and the video is relevant under 401 and 402. The probative value of the evidence is not substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice, given the magnitude of the shooting, given the nature of the crimes, given the graphic evidence that this jury has seen. I don't see it. So it is admissible. I will also say that to the extent that some redactions were requested, the request should have been made before court. It's my understanding that both sides have each other's exhibits, and so you should request redactions before we're in court and the prosecution is getting ready to admit the exhibit. Okay, with that, let's bring in juror number 737, please. The record should reflect that juror number 737 is now back in the courtroom. We're still outside the presence of the other jurors. I brought you back in, sir, just to ask as a follow-up, now that you've heard the testimony of Mr. Espinosa, whether that changes any of the answers that you gave me earlier.
It doesn't change it, no. Yeah, his testimony was pretty brief, so wasn't a lot going on there.
Okay. Any concerns at all that you want to talk to me about in terms of your ability and willingness to be a fair and impartial juror in this trial?
No, sir.
Any concerns about your ability and willingness to make decisions based only on the evidence presented here in the courtroom?
No, sir.
And any concerns about your ability and willingness to follow and conscientiously apply the law that I provide to you?
No, sir.
I had mentioned to you before that you should have no contact at all with Mr. Espinosa or his wife. I want to extend that instruction to your wife. So
Okay.
your wife should also avoid all contact with Mr. Espinosa and his wife. That includes any business transactions. To the extent that there's already a business transaction that's sort of in the middle of it and it's incomplete and all that needs to happen is to get it completed, it cannot be completed while the trial is pending. You have to do nothing at all with respect to any pending transactions, if there are any. And
Okay.
I don't know whether there are any or not. Are there
that I
any?
know of.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That makes it even easier.
Yeah.
All right. So when you get home tonight, will you please tell your wife that she's to have no contact with Mr. Espinosa or his wife while the trial is ongoing?
Certainly.
All right. Any other concerns that you want to talk to me? Not other, but any concerns you want to talk to me about?
Oh, not right now.
Okay, great. Thank
Sure.
you, sir. Okay, the record should reflect that juror number 737 has now exited the courtroom. Let's bring the jury in, please. Please be seated, everyone. The record should reflect that the jury has joined us again. Welcome back, folks. Ms. Pearson, you may call your next witness.
The people call Investigator Craig Clark.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm on a penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please be seated. Please tell us your full name and spell your first and last names.
My name is Craig Clark, C-R-A-I-G, last is C-L-A-R-K.
Ms. Pearson.
Investigator Clark, who are you employed by?
Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office,
How long have you worked for them?
15 years.
Were you an investigator at Arapahoe County in July of 2012?
I was.
What were your duties at that time?
To investigate crimes that have come in, reports that we get naturally through patrol.
Were you on the bomb squad at the time?
Yes.
How long had you been on the bomb squad?
Got on in 2002. I went to HDS in 2004.
HDS being the Hazardous Devices School?
Yes, ma'am.
In Alabama? Is
Yes,
that-
ma'am.
Were you asked to respond to the Century 16 Theater on July 20th, 2012 as part of a bomb squad call-out?
Yes, I was.
What were you asked to go and do?
Initially, it was an all-page for all bomb techs to respond. We didn't really know exactly what the page was about, just to go there and then take direction when we got there.
Did you go to the theater?
I did, ma'am.
When you got the page, did you have information that you should have the bomb truck respond as well?
Yes,
Did you drive the bomb truck to the theater?
I did not.
What time did you arrive at the theater?
I got there about 2:05 in the morning.
Who was driving the bomb truck?
Bomb tech Troy Waller.
Did it follow you to the theater?
He was about 10 minutes behind me when I arrived. Just through the radio traffic on the radio, I knew he was about 10 minutes behind me.
Where did you park?
I parked off of Sable and Center Point.
And could I have People's Exhibit 4740, which has been previously admitted? In looking at this photograph, can you see where Sable is?
The street running right here on the right side.
Is that where you parked?
We did park the bomb truck on Sable. My personal vehicle is parked. It would be out of that picture on Center Point.
Okay. You can go ahead and take that down. Now, is Sable lower than the parking lot is? So do you have to go uphill to get up to the parking lot for the theater?
Yes.
Did the bomb truck arrive in that same vicinity?
Yes.
What's in the bomb truck?
We have robots, bomb suits, different tools that we use for rendering safe items.
Do you have the ability from the bomb truck to watch what the robot sees
Yes.
as you are manipulating the robot?
Yes.
Do you operate the robot from the bomb truck?
Yes.
Can you operate the robot even though you can't physically see where the robot is?
Yes, it's remote control with 5 different cameras on it, so we don't have to see it. We could use the LED screen to drive it.
And the robot came to the theater.
Yes.
What was the purpose of, did you use the robot at the theater?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the purpose of using the robot?
Basically, the robot is used to keep us safe. So if we're going to go down range, we'll send the robot down first, generally to either scout the area or look for something that could be dangerous for us, or render safe the item just using the robot.
What does the robot look like?
This particular robot is a Remote Tech Wolverine. It's about 850 pounds. When it's stowed, it's about 2 feet high, 5 feet long, and about 3 feet wide.
So it's like a little square rectangle.
That is correct.
When the bomb truck arrived at the theater, did you get the robot out of the bomb truck?
Yes.
Where were you trying to get the robot to?
To a vehicle that my commander, Rich Anselmi, as the bomb truck arrived, he walked to the bomb truck and told us that he needed us to get into that white vehicle.
Did you learn that vehicle belonged to the defendant in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you're parked down with the bomb truck on Sable and the vehicle is up in the parking lot, how do you get the robot from the bomb truck up to where the car is?
The robot has the capability of climbing stairs, opening doors, that type of. We use that robot for different things. Went over the curb, up and over the grass hill, and across the pavement towards the car.
Does it move very fast?
That particular robot goes about 3 miles an hour.
So it took a little while.
It's a little slower, yes.
As the robot was moving up towards the car, could you see what the robot was seeing?
Yes, ma'am.
Did it get up to the car?
It did.
Once you got the robot close enough that you could actually see the car, what did you observe about the car?
It was a white 2-door hatchback, a Hyundai. It had very dark tinted windows, so it was really difficult to see inside initially.
Could you see inside the front windshield?
No, it had a sun visor put up in the front windshield.
A sun visor like you use to keep the sun out during the day?
Yes, ma'am.
And what time of night was this?
About 2:30 in the morning. by
So
that
it was
time.
dark?
Yes, ma'am.
As a result of, were the doors open or closed on the car at that time?
All the doors were closed.
Since you couldn't see into the car, what did you do?
We have a window brake that fits into the claw of the robot arm. So I was able to use that to break out the passenger side window.
Once you did that, could you see anything inside the car?
It was limited. I could tell the back seat was folded down. Apparently, it appeared that the front seat was also folded forward. There was what appeared to be a bulletproof neck protector on the passenger floorboard. That's about all I could see, other than maybe a few bags in the back, but I couldn't make them out.
Did that concern you?
Yes.
Why?
Well, anytime you have a closed bag that you can't see into on a call like this, it's my training and experience and in the explosive world, it's standard procedure to, if you've identified one possible explosive device or a hazardous device, that there's more than likely a second one.
What did you do next?
I broke out the smaller window right behind the passenger door so I could see in the back seat and in the hatchback area.
Could you see more items at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you see?
I recall seeing a pair of tennis shoes, what appeared to be an umbrella, and then a hard rifle case that was open and an orange bag zipped up, and that's about all I could see at that point.
Were you concerned about the zipped up bags?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
The same reason I just described is if it's closed and we're on it, the type of call we're on, we don't know what's inside that. Part of our job is when we look at a vehicle like that, in order to release it to, in this case, Aurora PD, we have to make 100% sure that it's safe for them to deal with.
So what did you do next?
I had Troy Waller go downrange, and I had observed the keys, a pistol, and a glove, I believe, on the roof of the vehicle. I was subsequently told that those keys did belong to that vehicle, so I sent Troy Waller down to grab the keys and insert them in the trunk, the hatchback lock.
Why did you have him do it rather than the robot?
Well, I could do it with the robot. It just takes a little bit of time. It's a two-dimensional screen that you're looking at, so it's a little more difficult. I felt pretty confident to send Waller down there because I had already had the robot around the vehicle for quite some time. And all he was going to do is insert the key. I was going to use the robot to do the rest.
Did he go in a bomb suit to do that?
I dressed him down a little bit. He was in a flak vest and a helmet.
Is it hard to manipulate things when you're wearing a bomb suit?
It could be difficult, yes, ma'am.
So you took, so the key was put into the back of the car,
Yes,
and then did you intend for the robot to turn the key?
yes.
Did that work?
It did. Troy went and took cover while I tried to open the trunk. It did pop the trunk, but it was either the hatchback was too heavy or I just couldn't get the right angle on it, so I was unable to actually get the hatchback up.
Did you have to send somebody down to open up the hatchback?
Yes.
Who went down to do that?
Suited up Troy Waller and FBI Special Agent Bomb Tech Garrett Gumbinner.
Now, you indicated on the top of the roof you'd seen the keys and a pistol.
Yes,
Do you recall whether or not the pistol had a laser sight?
it did.
What color was it?
It was green. It was on.
Could you see the green laser light in the dark?
Not from that angle. I could tell that it was maybe a little brighter from the angle that I was at, but I didn't know if that was just a reflection.
Once you got the hatch open in the back, what did you do with the robot?
After Gumbinner and Waller opened up the hatchback, they again came back to the bomb truck. I used the robot to take out the items that were inside the back of the vehicle.
Was there a backboard near the robot?
There was.
Was it in the way?
It was.
What did you do with it?
Well, when Troy went down there, I told him over the speaker to slide that backboard underneath the vehicle. It did have blood on it, and I just didn't want to track that all over the parking lot.
With the robot, were you able to take some things out of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you take out of the car?
I believe there was approximately 6 items that I took out. One was the hard black rifle case. Another one was a soft-sided green rifle case. There's a blanket, a gas can, and a couple other zip bags that we pulled out of there.
What, did the robot take them out?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did the robot take them?
I moved them back approximately 15 to 20 feet behind the vehicle, kind of in a horseshoe or arc, best I could.
At the point that you'd taken these items out of the car, did you feel that the car was safe for police officers to go up to?
No, not at that point.
Why not?
Well, that was just the items that were stored inside the vehicle. They're still under the seat, under the vehicle. There's still a lot of areas that we hadn't been able to check yet.
Did you ultimately have someone do a search of the car under the seats once the items had been removed?
Yes.
And in the car, did you find any kind of explosive devices?
No.
Now, the items that you had taken out of the car and moved 15 feet or so away from the car, did you look at them more closely?
Again, Waller and Gumbinner took down an open vision live x-ray source, and they individually went through each bag and to make sure that there was nothing in there.
Can you explain the live x-ray source?
It gives you instant readings as opposed to having to develop them. It's a smaller screen, but you can move it around. It's handheld. You're able to see inside a package to determine if there's anything dangerous in there.
Did they look at these other items?
They did.
Did they determine whether there was anything dangerous that needed that they needed to deal with immediately in any of those packages?
They did not.
They didn't find anything?
They
I'm
did
sorry,
not
that wasn't a
find
very good
anything.
question. So you're saying they didn't find anything else that needed them to do something with immediately?
That's correct.
Was what the robot was seeing and what you were seeing the robot seeing, was that recorded?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how long the total recording was?
About 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Have you had an opportunity to view the entire recording that the robot made of what it saw and what you were seeing on July 20th of 2012?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 306. Do you recognize that item?
I do.
How do you recognize it?
It has my initials, my star number, and the date that I viewed it.
What is it?
This is a CD of the actual video footage from the robot from that night.
Is this the 2 hours and 5 minutes of video?
Yes, ma'am, it is. No, ma'am, it is not. My apologies. 6 minutes and 57 seconds.
And do you recall looking at it?
I do, yes.
Is it a summary of some segments from the 2 hours and 5 minutes of video?
It is.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of parts of all of that video that was recorded the night of July 20th of 2012?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I move for the admittance of People's Exhibit 306.
Would counsel please approach briefly? The objection is overruled, the exhibit is admitted, and may be published.
Your Honor, would you object to Investigator Clark providing some descriptive information as we see the video about what we're seeing?
Any objection to that?
Your Honor, I'll have to hear the testimony.
I'll let you ask questions, and then if there's an objection, Ms. Spengler, please make it, and then I'll rule at that point, okay? So, and if he's going to do that, he's going to have to use the microphone.
Okay. Do you want to keep the hand, well, you can see it on your monitor, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so make sure that you're speaking into the microphone. What are we viewing here? What is this, the front of the robot?
That is the front of the robot. It has the window punch. That's that little black box you see in the gripper.
Does it have treads for wheels?
It does. It's a six-wheel drive vehicle with treads.
Is there another segment coming? Who are we seeing in this photograph, or in this video?
The taller one is Troy Waller, and the not-so-tall one is Garrett Gumbinner. So that's Troy Waller right there.
Is that a bomb suit that he's wearing?
That is.
How much does a bomb suit weigh?
I believe with the helmet it's almost 90 pounds.
Okay. Now, can you explain what the robot looks different now than it did before?
Yes, previously the arm was stowed, and right now I have it extended, looking inside the trunk after Gumbinner and Waller had opened it.
How far out can the arm extend?
It could go a little over 6 feet.
Now, the item that I see on the left part there with sort of the waffled interior, what is that item?
That would be the hard rifle case that was open.
And the item that the robot is attempting to grab right there, what is that?
That is the green soft-sided rifle case.
Does it take some practice to learn to manipulate the robot's arms?
It does.
What time in the morning was this occurring?
I believe it was probably closer to 3:15-ish.
What are Investigator Waller and Gumman are doing here?
That is the Open Vision live X-ray system I spoke of. He's actually checking each bag, putting that over it, pushing the on button, and it's showing him what's inside that bag.
Thank you.
The record should reflect that Exhibit P-TR-306 was just published. All right, Ms. Pearson, you may proceed.
After you finished with the, working with the robot and on the car, what did you do next?
The car wasn't completely gone through at that point. I suited up another bomb tech, Brian Knutson, in a lighter gear. It wasn't the heavy EOD-9 that you saw in the video there, to go down to be able to check underneath the seats, underneath the dashboard, and underneath the car. It's pretty difficult to do when you're in that large suit.
Did you find anything in the car that was an explosive device?
No, ma'am.
Later in the day, were you one of the people that went in with the bomb squad into the theater to check for IEDs?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any questions, Ms. Spengler?
No questions, thank you.
And there are no questions from the jury. So may this witness be released from his subpoena?
You may, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Call your next witness, please.
People call Investigator Troy Waller.
Solemnly swear or affirm on a penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please be seated. Please tell us your full name and spell your first and last names.
Troy Waller, Troy Waller.
Investigator Waller, who do you work for?
The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office
How long have you worked for the Sheriff's Office?
since February 2002.
On July 20th of 2012, were you assigned to the bomb squad?
I was.
And on that date, were you asked to respond to the Century 16 theaters with the bomb truck?
Yes.
Did you in fact do that?
I did.
Where did you park the bomb truck?
It was on Sable Boulevard, just on the east side of the theater, a little bit to the north.
Was your job that day to actually suit up and go down to the defendant's car?
Yes,
And did you do that?
I did.
We've seen a video, and there were two people in it, and you're the taller of the two?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were down at the car and physically looking at the car, what could you see inside the car?
No object to this line of questioning as being cumulative with Special Agent Gumbinner, with Sergeant Anicelli, as well as Investigator Clark.
Sustained.
Did you see any ammunition inside the car?
I saw from the outside of the car, I observed a loaded rifle magazine in between the driver's seat and the center console.
When you say a loaded rifle magazine, what kind of caliber weapon are we talking about?
It appeared to me to be a .223.
And it was sitting where?
I believe it was in between, shoved in between the driver's seat and the center console.
Did you see any firearms inside of the car?
I did see a handgun once we opened up the passenger door. There was a handgun in the passenger door compartment, pocket, I guess.
Were you able to tell whether it was loaded or unloaded?
I was not.
Did you take it out?
I did not.
When you took the bags out of the car, did you look through them to see if there were any items in there that appeared to be dangerous to you?
We did. We x-rayed the bags prior to looking inside of the bags.
Did you see ammunition inside any of the bags?
Yes.
Do you recall what you saw?
There were numerous handgun magazines in the bags, as well as some ammunition. And I don't know if it was handgun ammunition or rifle ammunition, but I'm pretty sure I recall seeing some shotgun ammunition as well.
Did you see any batteries in the car?
There were some batteries in some of the bags that we x-rayed.
Packages of batteries?
I believe they were packages.
Was that of any concern to you as a bomb technician?
It is, because that's a component of a bomb. So when we're x-raying those bags, we're actually looking for components of a bomb.
When you completed the search of the car, did you later go into the theater?
We did.
Were you one of the teams that went in to check for IEDs in the theater?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any questions, Ms. Spengler?
No. Thank you.
All right, the jury doesn't appear to have any questions for this witness. May he be released from his subpoena?
He may, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No.
All right, thank you, sir. Call your next witness, please.
The people call Officer Robert Wong.
Good afternoon, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. Please tell us your full name and spell your first and last name.
Robert Wong, W-O-N-G.
How do you spell your first name?
Robert, R-O-B-E-R-T.
Thank you. Ms. Pearson?
Officer Wong, who do you work for?
The Aurora Police Department
How long have you worked for the Aurora Police Department?
since January of 2008.
Do you have prior law enforcement experience?
No.
Were you in the military at one time?
Yes.
Did you have experience with firearms in the military?
Yes.
How long were you in the military?
From 2002.
You're on irrelevance, excuse me.
Pearson?
It's part of his law enforcement experience.
Overruled? You may answer.
From 2002 to 2006.
Were you deployed?
Yes.
Were you working for the Aurora Police Department on July 20th of 2012?
Yes.
On that date, what did your duties consist of?
I was part of a summer task force to impact crime throughout the city.
What shift were you working?
It was a swing shift. It was from 3 to 1.
So had you gone on duty at 3 p.m. on July 19th?
Correct.
And were you due to get off at 1 a.m. on July 20th?
Correct.
On that day, were you riding alone, or did you have somebody with you?
I was in a two-man car.
Do you recall hearing a call for officers to respond to the Century 16 Theater?
Yes.
Do you recall what time you heard that?
Right around midnight.
Do you have, do you believe that that's an accurate time, or do you think that that's just a guess?
It's a guess. I'd have to look at my report for the actual time.
If the call went out at about 12:38 a.m., do you recall hearing the call then?
Correct.
Do you recall how long it took you to get to the theater?
We were in the area of about 16th and Peoria, so a matter of minutes.
When you arrived at the theater, how did you approach the theater? Where did you park?
We parked on the edge of the, what would that be? I think it's off the main entrance, outside of the actual parking lot on the sidewalk.
Would a map help you to see where that is?
Yes,
Could I have People's Exhibit 4740, please? Do you recognize what is depicted in this photograph?
Yes.
And there is a pointer behind you, and there's actually a microphone next to you, too, if you can, a handheld one up next there.
It's back here.
Oh, sorry. And you'll need to turn it on as well. And if you could point out where you approached the theater from and where you ultimately parked.
We came in from this ring road right here and parked, oh, sorry, I'm short, right around this area.
Okay.
Right where it would be up here.
To the north side there of
Yeah,
the
like-
theater.
Directly north of it.
When, you can take a seat again. When you got to the theater, what was going on outside?
People were exiting, mass exiting from the theater.
Were there other police cars on scene?
I believe so.
What did you do?
After we got our equipment, we ran into the north exit where the only exit doors on the north side of the building.
What equipment did you take with you into the theater?
I grabbed my gas mask and my rifle.
Why did you grab your gas mask?
It was conveyed to me that there was possible use of gas in the theater.
You entered, you said, from the north.
Correct.
How did you get into the theater complex?
The building itself,
Yes.
there's exit-only doors that are glass on that, like, northwest corner.
Were they locked or were they open?
Well, they were open when I got there. Another officer was holding them.
So you went in.
Correct.
Where did you go?
We were going down the hallway to go to Theater 9, and we stopped at Theater 8.
Why did you stop at Theater 8?
A victim came out who was shot in the face, saying that there was a shooter inside of that theater shooting. So,
What did this victim look like?
it was a younger female. She was shot in the face. Her friend was holding her, and they were screaming that someone was inside of Theater 8 shooting.
Were there other officers with you outside Theater 8?
Yes.
How many?
I would say, including myself, 6 or 7.
Did you enter Theater 8?
Yes.
How did you do that? Did you immediately rush in? What did you do?
Yeah, we set up our teams to go start clearing, so we had probably about 3 seconds communication before we actually went into the theater.
When you went into Theater 8, do you recall how it was set up?
Yes.
Is it a theater that you were familiar with?
No.
Had you been to the theater complex at all before?
No.
When you went into Theater 8, tell us how it was set up.
We came in, and if the theater's in front of you, we came in on the left side. Then we went immediately button hooked up the stairs to clear the entire theater.
And you're saying left side as you're facing the theater.
Correct.
When you got into Theater 8, what did you see?
When we got in there, the last few people were coming out of there. We could see the bullet holes from the theater adjacent to it, the lights through the holes and the gas coming through those holes. And then once it was clear, then we exited that theater to go back into Theater 9.
Could you smell the gas as well?
No.
Of course, did you have a gas mask on?
Yes, ma'am.
Once you had cleared Theater 8, what did you do?
Then we immediately went into Theater 9 because we didn't find anybody in Theater 8 to go either locate the suspects and or help victims.
In Theater 8, what was your goal in going into that theater? Or Theater 9, rather. When you went into Theater 9, what was your goal?
With all the commotion, we didn't know what had been cleared and what hadn't.
And when you say cleared, what do you mean by that?
If it had been checked for suspects or potential threats. So our initial goal was to go there to make sure all the threats were gone from that theater.
Did you find any suspects in Theater 9?
No.
While you were in Theater 9, did you ever hear any information that a suspect had been arrested?
I don't recall.
Did you check victims in Theater 9?
This is cumulative.
Sustained.
Do you specifically recall seeing a black male in Theater 9 that needed assistance?
Objection.
It's a specific person, Your Honor.
Overruled.
I didn't see him in the theater, no.
Where did you see him?
Outside of the theater where the triage center became?
So after you were in Theater 9, did you go to the back of the theater?
Correct.
What did you go to the back of the theater to do?
I'd actually carried out a female, and we put her in the triage center, and that's why I left the theater.
And then do you recall having contact with a black male?
Yes.
And what did you do with regard to him?
I'm going to object to relevance in 403.
Overruled.
What did you do with him?
I was informed that he was still alive and we needed to get him into a truck and get him to the hospital as soon as possible.
What did you do with him?
So we loaded him in the back of a SUV and drove him to Aurora South.
Did you go to Aurora South?
Yes.
Could you tell what kind of injuries he had?
No.
Did you see blood on him?
Yes.
Was he responsive when he was in the car?
No.
Objection. 401 and 403.
Sustained.
Did you ever learn the name of this person that you were involved transporting?
Yes, later.
What was his name?
Stefan?
Do you know his last name?
Can't remember.
Was it Stefan Moten?
Yes.
After you transported this victim, did you go back to the theater?
Yes.
When you went back to the theater, did you have your gas mask with you?
I did.
Were you still wearing it, or what were you doing with it?
Yeah, it was still on top of my head.
Just sort of perched on the top of your head?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point, did you set it down?
Yes.
Where did you set it down?
Directly outside of Theater 9, there's a set of trash can, like a dumpster area. I set it down right outside of there.
Do you recall seeing any other items around there when you set it down?
I don't.
Did you walk away from your gas mask?
Yes.
Did you come back later to retrieve it?
Yes.
How long after you'd left it was that?
Not that long, maybe a minute or two.
In the period of time after you left it, where did you go?
I went and cleared that dumpster area because it was locked, and that's just when they got it open. So it was probably 10 by 10 square.
When you came out of that dumpster area, did you pick up a gas mask?
I did.
Where did you pick up the gas mask from?
The same area I'd placed mine.
At some point, did you realize anything about that gas mask?
I realized it wasn't mine.
How did you realize that?
I put it back on top of my head and there was a wire hanging down. And then when I removed it, I noticed it wasn't an Aurora police gas mask that we were issued.
So what did you do with the gas mask?
I immediately set it down and then guarded it for the remainder of the night. I guarded it. I stayed with it. I don't know if that's the right word.
And we have a model here, which I would like to show you. I don't think you've ever seen this before, to see if you can, if it's of any assistance to you about where you put your gas mask down.
Okay.
May I approach?
Yes, you may. And for the record, what is the exhibit on the model that you're referring to?
The model is, I believe, 1087. Yes. If you can bring that microphone.
Absolutely. What side do you want me on?
Yes, and just if you can. If you could point out on the model where you set your gas mask down.
Right in this area somewhere, just right outside of the doors.
Right outside of the dumpster doors?
Yes.
And when you came back to pick up a gas mask, where did you pick up the gas mask from?
In the exact same space, right in front of those doors.
You can go ahead, take a seat. When you picked up the second gas mask, where did you go to while you still had that on your head?
To the north.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm going to show you, but it marked as People's Exhibits 2109 and 2132. Do you recognize what is depicted in those photographs?
Yes.
And what is depicted in them?
The gas mask I thought was mine when I grabbed it.
And just keep them folded to yourself first.
Sorry.
Do those two photographs fairly and accurately represent the gas mask that you picked up and put on July 20th of 2012?
Correct.
Your Honor, I would move for the admittance of People's Exhibits 2109 and 2132.
Any objection?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-2109 and 2132 are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 2109, please? And if you could describe for us in this photograph where we are in the building and what we're seeing.
You want me to stand up? Or-
Certainly, and take the microphone again, please.
So Theater 9 exited out of right here. There's the trash cans where I dropped my gas mask. And then once everything was cleared out, we all headed over here. And then that's when I noticed I didn't have my gas mask.
So you took it off where you were standing
Correct. As soon as I realized it.
and then just stood there with it.
Correct.
Could I have 2132, please? Can you describe what we see in this photograph?
This is the gas mask I grabbed. This is the cord that I could feel, that what I think is as close as I could tell a Bluetooth attached to it.
All right, take a seat again. Thank you. Now, you said that you stayed with the gas mask. Did someone ultimately come and relieve you, or were you with it until it was picked up?
Someone came and relieved me.
One moment. When you were referring to it as having a Bluetooth, what do you mean by that?
That cord had an earbud in it, and I guess I don't know really what it is, but to me, it appeared to be like a device used for like mobile communication attached to a cell phone.
Okay, one moment. Could I have 2132 up again, please? And if you could point out the part that for you was the Bluetooth and what the thing is that is attached to the cord there.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about with the Bluetooth.
Did the gas mask that you were wearing have headphones in it,
Originally?
that you were wearing that night?
No,
Or did it have any kind of a Bluetooth in it?
no.
Thank you. Thank you, I don't have any more questions.
Is there any cross-examination?
Thank you.
All right, there may be some questions from the jury, so give us a moment, please. Thank you. Could counsel please approach? Officer, the jury has submitted a couple of questions, and I have found, based on the rules of evidence and other applicable rules of law, that they are appropriate. The first question is, who were you riding with during your shift?
Officer Jeremy Jenkins?
The next question is, were there 2 gas masks in that area when you returned to retrieve yours?
I don't know how many there were.
Any follow-up questions based on those questions, Ms. Pearson?
Officer, do you recall seeing any other gas masks that night?
I don't.
Any follow-up questions from you, Ms. Spengler?
No.
All right, may this witness be released from his subpoena.
You may, Your Honor.
Is there any objection?
Objection.
Okay, thank you, sir. Members of the jury, it's 5 o'clock, right on the dot, so it's time to adjourn for the day. Before you leave, I'm going to give you quickly the advisements that I have been giving you. Please do not discuss any aspect of the case with each other through any means. You're free to talk to each other, but not about the case. In addition to not being able to discuss the case with each other, you may not communicate about the case with anyone else through any means. That includes your spouse or significant other. All you can tell people is that you're a juror in Arapahoe County in a trial that is expected to end in August or September. Please do not talk with any witnesses, parties, or attorneys about anything, whether related to the case or not. To make sure that witnesses, parties, and attorneys do not talk to you, it is imperative that you wear your juror badge whenever you are on the courthouse premises and that it is visible to everyone around you. Your juror badge will also reduce the risk that people will talk about the case in your presence. If you hear anyone talking about the case, please remove yourself from that location immediately. In the event that, despite your best efforts, you hear something about the case, please let my staff know that you want to talk to me. And all you have to do is tell my staff that you need to talk to me. You should not provide any details about what you want to talk about. Please do not talk to any members of the media about anything, not just about the case. You must not read, view, or listen to any news or media reports that may refer to this case, because there is media coverage of this trial. Please be particularly vigilant while listening to the radio, watching TV, reading the newspaper, using the internet, or any other electronic device. You cannot visit any locations mentioned in the case or conduct your own investigation outside the courtroom. That includes consulting dictionaries, medical books, treatises, legal books, religious books. You cannot consult any outside sources in relation to your jury service. Please remember that you cannot start forming opinions about the case until I tell you that you can start deliberating. You must keep an open mind throughout the trial. Neither sympathy nor prejudice for the prosecution or the defendant may affect any of your decisions in this case. And then finally, please remember, folks, what I mentioned earlier. The attorneys have a job to do. They are required to make objections as part of that job. Please do not hold it against them when they make objections. Similarly, do not read anything into my rulings and the objections. Remember that I'm doing my best to apply the rules of law when I'm ruling on the objections. So it would be improper for you to draw any inferences from that, okay? All right, with all those advisements, enjoy the evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 8:15. Thank you. Reflect that the jury has exited the courtroom. Please be seated, everyone. One additional comment with respect to P-TR-306. When he was playing, I noticed when he was playing here in the courtroom that there was some blood on the ground, or what appeared to me to be blood on the ground, which to the extent that the defense's objection to the blood on the board had any validity, it makes it even less valid. I don't understand why the blood on the board is prejudicial, but the blood on the ground is not. And again, I don't think either one is surprising to the jury. So I wanted to add that to the record. I noticed that when he was playing here in the courtroom. Is there anything else we need to talk about at this time on behalf of the prosecution?
Briefly, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Orman?
I just wanted to put the defense and the court on notice about one potential issue. I'm not asking for the court to do anything, but it's the kind of thing where if I didn't say something now, you could see the argument, well, you didn't say something now, therefore you've waived your right to make any objection. Yesterday, Mr. King gave us a new report. It's very brief, but a new report and a media disc relating to one of their experts. It's an expert we previously knew about, but I look at this and I see this as a new opinion. And frankly, I see it as a new area of expertise for this expert. And I don't want to get into what all that is. I need to submit this to our experts to have them assess it, because I need to know whether or not we are prejudiced by the timing of the disclosure. I don't want to make any motions to the court and then some half-cocked motion to preclude it without knowing whether we're prejudiced. I don't know if we need to do a Shrek hearing on this now that we've received it. I know it's kind of late in the game to do that, but we received this yesterday. So that may be coming down the pike. But I thought I should mention this now, so that if I mention it in a couple weeks, Your Honor doesn't say, why didn't you mention it as soon as you got it? So that's really all I have to say at this point.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the people? Anything from the defense at this time, Mr. King? No. All right, have a good evening, folks. I'll see you tomorrow morning. The court will be in recess. Thank you.